I got the flu real bad today. Been fucking vomiting since this morning several times. But Brute is a man of the people, and the show must go on. So I'm here. I got my fucking penicillin, which, if you know what I'm talking about, this is natural, organic American spirits. That is the fucking panacea. But yeah, I got some fucking crazy stomach bug right now. Been a wild day. Been basking in the fucking sun, hoping it would disinfect this thing, but your boy's probably got another 24, 48 hours to ride this one out. Anyway, I got a DM that intrigued me. Very few DMs actually raised my hackles, but this one did. This youngster, young enthusiast, 21 years old, comes right out of the gates and shares with me that he has a cold approach addiction, which made me fucking laugh out loud when I heard it. I almost fucking closed the message. But I read a little further, and this guy goes on to tell me that he has cold approached 150 women in the last week. It's all he does. He gets up early, goes out, and just fires missiles at women. He's 21. And he tells me that he's the freest he's ever been in his entire life. He's riveted. This is like the most exhilarating thing he's ever fucking done, is mustering up the courage every day to just talk. And he claims that he's talking to the prettiest women that he can find. And this guy's just roaming the fucking streets, dropping missiles. Now, I love guys like this. Of course I do. But he goes on a very long-winded story, and these types of messages, it's a fucking blue moon that I ever even bother to reply. But I could just tell from the spirit in which he was writing this to me that this motherfucker was riding some kind of fucking wave and he needed some guidance. And so the first thing I asked him, because it did pique my curiosity, I said, share with me, out of 150 cold approaches, how many you hitting? Like, I was really curious. How many have you bagged approaching 150 women? And this dude gets raw with me, which I respected even more. And he's like, Brood, I haven't hit a single one. He's like, I'm zero. I'm 0 for 150. Fucking zero. And immediately I start stitching together the psychology behind this. The psychology behind this little tirade this guy's on. Look, listen, here's what happens. Okay? Addiction to failure is a real thing. It's a real thing. You see it in sales. You see it there's a lot of modalities where people get addicted to the process. People cleave on to the process, and there's comfort in guaranteed failure. And if someone is approaching 150 women, I don't give a fuck if you're that little hunchback from 300 with that little fucking shield and that little broadsword. If you're some fucking gangly looking motherfucker, if you're approaching 150 women, you should be hitting one. So I came to the conclusion, and this was instantaneous, this fell upon me from the heavens, that this guy is purposely failing. Like, there's a part of him that doesn't want to succeed because there's a guaranteed safety net and there's comfort in knowing that essentially he's rolling into things and he's on it. This guy's on a kamikaze mission, is what I want to tell you. It's almost like a suicide mission. Like, it makes him feel alive when he rolls up to a woman way out of his league and gets his fucking head blown off. This motherfucker, all his hormones are fucking charging, secreting out of every fucking pore. And if you're paying attention and you're familiar with my work, you probably know where I'm going with this. There is the point of the process, any process that you find yourself mired in, the point is obviously always to win, right? And the thing with women that a lot of guys truly don't understand is there's an upper crest. There's an upper crest, there's an upper tier, an upper antechamber, which once you breach this particular tier, and it's a status thing. It's 100%. This guy's low status. Okay, that's his problem. He's low status. He's 21. Doesn't have a fucking penny to his name. Doesn't have a body of work. Doesn't even know who the fuck he is. Okay, but he's getting his rocks off by this little game he's playing with himself. And here's the reality: when you ever try to make a science, and you try to isolate and make a science out of an entire portfolio of knowledge and wisdom that should just be naturally ingrained in a winning process, you are cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's what you're doing. In other words, anytime you boil down the science of picking up women, or you isolate that factor and you become a pickup artist, you label yourself as a guy who has to get women, you are pointing the blade. You are poising the blade at your own heart. Because like I just said, in the upper crest, the upper echelons of life, the rules of engaging and picking up women are 100% inverted, which means there is no pickup at the top. When you are a high status, powerful man, women approach you. You are roaming around town, doing whatever the fuck you want to do. And these things manifest organically. It's an afterthought. Do you understand? There is zero intentional curation. And I'm here to tell you that the longest standing relationships on planet Earth all have that nature in common, which is that the meeting was serendipitous, it was benevolent, and it was organic. There was no orchestration. Do you understand? So the success level, what this motherfucker really needed to do was he needed to get more time in building himself, right? He needs a fucking skill set. He needs to fucking grow. He needs to move out the fuck out of his hometown. I just made a tweet a couple hours ago. Those with a keen eye, with a sharpshooter eye, saw what I said. I said, your home, wherever you start, like the hometown that you were born in, that's a failed start for a man. I don't give a fuck if you're born on Star Island. Your hometown that you were born in is a failed start because it is a rite of passage. Every man has a duty to move out, start from scratch when you're a fucking nobody and turn yourself into a somebody. That's actually how you get confidence. That's how you get confidence. And I went on to say that indulging in the process of moving should also not be done too often because it's similar to taking a psychedelic. You take too much psychedelics, you take too many, and there's no links that form anymore. Do you understand? You're just a blob. You're a blob of a human being getting kicked around. And so that's what this motherfucker needs to do. He needs to uproot himself and he needs to get more life experience. And women need to be drawn to him through osmosis. There is a level in the upper echelons. I've reached this. Okay. I'm telling you, the high percentage shots is when life gets real fun. When you have enough life experience and you are so adept because you've seen everything, you understand human psychology, you pick up the fucking cues. I cannot remember the last time when I was younger when I approached a woman and got blown out of a set. There was I went on like a 2-year stretch where every single one that I did choose, it was a fucking make. It was a fucking slam dunk. Because you just sort of get this repertoire, you get this natural wisdom, this natural understanding of the signals and the cues. Like you just know you can predict it. There's like a precognition. You just know exactly how this is gonna play out. You know what she's gonna say. You know what you're gonna say. It's already fucking chamber loaded, ready to rock and roll. And then it's just fucking easy. Life gets super fucking easy at that point. You know what I mean? Then you're using the sniper. You're using the fucking lethal sniper instead of that shotgun grape shot approach, which is what Old Boy was doing. But Old Boy has a psychological issue with the addiction to the process and failure. And you see this in sales too. There's a lot of guys who look, if you have to cold call hundreds of times a day, hundreds of fucking times a day, you have no leverage. You know what I mean? Like that is the bottom of the barrel strategy. That's the fucking sludge at Arco. That is like literal fucking 87 gasoline. You're going to choke your fucking fuel line eventually. We all know this. We all know this subconsciously. We all know some people are playing a very different game where the clients, the gravitas, the magnetic field, people just gravitate to them. And that's really where you want to be. And you want to make women, you never want to make women the primary function. They should be tailing along as you are sojourning through life. You know what I'm saying? Your train is bulldozing. And if they want to hop on the fucking caboose, then they can. But that window needs to be very short because men keep it moving. Men fucking keep it moving. Another thing, this guy, archetypically, there's some strengths here. And I think this is what drew me to the message. The guy has balls. He's got 90% of it right there. He's got courage, right? But there's a nuance to this. And I want you guys to understand when you intentionally embark on quests that are so difficult, way above your pay grade that you know for a fact you ain't going to hit it. Okay? Because it's just way over your head and you're purposely getting blown out. That actually morphs into a form of cowardice. Do you understand? So what started as a courageous, gallant, valorous venture has now deteriorated into cowardice. This dude's being a fucking coward because he's afraid to play the real game, which is to build yourself a real life. You understand? So you get blown out of sets 150 times. Now you are beclowning yourself. You know what I mean? You're just a fucking dancing monkey. You're a court jester. And you're purposely getting your fucking head chopped off, like I said. And so now it becomes a cowardly act. And this is where, if you notice, a lot of my work is very binary. I love paradox. I love paradox because the truth is extremely fucking paradoxical. It is. Let's look at the loser-winner dichotomy, all right? The loser-winner dichotomy is fascinating because the line is a lot closer than you think. Winners swing. There is a pendulum drop from being a winner and a loser, and it happens often. So like a winner can be in a loser's phase and then pendulum swing the other way very quickly. This happens all the time. You know, I've drawn comparisons to the billionaire, the crusader, the artist, the fat guy, the conqueror. I said they're all the same. The alcoholic, the drug addict. I said they're all the same. Do you know why they're all the same? I'm going to tell you why. The billionaire is a junkie for momentum, just like a fucking alcoholic. Families are falling apart. Friends are drifting away, and they just can't stop. Anyone who's successful, they cannot stop. They have to keep going. And the blast radius, the collateral damage, the nuclear waste that ends up spreading, oftentimes many loved ones get hit with friendly fire. How is a motherfucker, look at an Elon Musk. You know how much fucking damage has been caused while he power punched his way to the top? You know how many fucking fallen relationships have taken place along that journey? Hundreds. He can't stop. He has to continue building his shit. He has to continue being at the top. The guy literally can't help himself. The makeup, the constitution, that is the exact same prototypical behavior of an alcoholic. It's no fucking different. It's just one has north momentum and one has south momentum. And that line is very close. And if you look at my tweet yesterday, where I mentioned, and this is why depression is so dangerous, by the way. Depression is dangerous only if you stagnate in it. And what a lot of people who are in a depression don't understand is that when you are in depression, you're actually closer to the wraparound effect of being at the top, being at the apex of the emotional spectrum, if you just drop a couple levels lower than depression. And this is where people make the mistake. They get caught. They get ensnared in the depression. But if things get a little bit worse and you keep trying and you keep failing and you experience a little more pain, you actually drop through a trap door underneath depression into absolute fucking hilarity. It's true. The funniest moments, the most genuine joy, belly laughter you will ever fucking experience, the mirth, happens when you're in despair. You're almost hit this like fucking delirium where everything is just so fucking funny because nothing's clicking. And then you know what? There's that wraparound effect. You drop another floor beneath that, boom, you're back at the top. Back into joy, back into abundance mentality. That's why I've always said the most dangerous place you can be in a man is stagnant. As long as you are moving, it doesn't matter if it's up or down. The momentum can be going completely in the opposite direction. As long as you're dropping, you're going to arc back up. And then you start the cycle again. You understand? So it's a north-south cycle. And people are afraid of the pain and the despair and the torture of dropping even below a rung on the ladder lower than depression. And so they just stop. They stop fighting. They surrender. They wave the white flag and they stay put. And that is the most dangerous place to be because momentum, north or south, will get a man through. It don't matter if things are going bad. As long as the momentum keeps taking you down, 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 you're gonna fucking rebound. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. You know, one of the great tragedies of modernity is the fact that there's two classes of people on the long tails of the distribution that push society forward. Okay? It's dumb people and it's extremely smart people. Very intelligent people take risks. Very dumb people take risks. Midwits do not take risks. They're too scared. It's gonna disrupt their entire fucking life if they get clapped, right? What New Age wisdom has accomplished, it has taken dumb people and it has moved them into the middle. Because knowledge is so common, because forums are so common, because knowledge is aggregated so well. Everybody has access to a plethora of human knowledge. Like the human consciousness has been uploaded on the fucking internet and everybody has access to it. So a lot of dumb fucks who would have struck it so huge because they were too dumb to know any better, they've also been lassoed and they've been corralled into the middle, which we all know is the fucking buzzsaw. That's where dreams go to die. That's where dreams go to fucking die. And so that is the great tragedy of fucking new age wisdom and all this common self-help knowledge is it's taken people who would have been better off being ignorant, who would have taken a shot, made an invention, done something wild, and actually fucking scored big and rocketed to the fucking skies, pole vaulted into the fucking atmosphere. And a lot of that shit has been devastated. It's been fucking contaminated. It's been fucking Nagasaki'd. And it's a great fucking shame. And that's why I've always said a lot of people would be way better off not look, here's a zinger for you. All right. What you see on Twitter, Twitter actually silences the outliers. It silences the outliers. Like what you think is so special and so great on Twitter is actually just a regression to the mean. There's really almost zero outliers flourishing on Twitter. And what happens is this common lifestyle that gets promoted, the fucking red meat, the lifting. Like, you guys don't understand that that's actually turning you into a fucking midwit. It's turning you into a midwit. Like, you think this is esoteric shit, and it's not. It's not. You're being pushed into the fucking middle. Everyone's parroting. Everyone's fucking saying the same thing on here. Everybody. Except a few motherfuckers, and I'll be very humble right now and not put my name in that hat. It's insane. You're not grasping hold of that primordial fire. Like it's really not happening on here. It's what's very fascinating to me is watching these young guys come up. It's like one of my little side hobbies right now. I have a keen eye on a couple of these young up and comers, like these young accounts, because I'm very curious as to what kind of strategies they're deploying to try to grow their accounts and shit. It's super interesting because obviously the landscape has drastically changed over the last couple of years. And there's a couple of dudes I have my eye on, couple smart cats. But one thing that I do want to share with you guys, and this kind of circles back to the first conversation, is I think a lot of these young guys don't understand how age is truly status. And women love, love, love status. Like, there's only so serious someone's going to take you, even if you're a fucking whiz kid hotshot at like 22 years old. Like, you can get in front of the video camera all fucking day and spit fire. If you're 22, yeah, people are going to take it with a grain of salt. Like, there's really only so much status you can garner at that age. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. It just means you got to let the good times roll. But a lot of these motherfuckers genuinely don't understand that if you did it right, I don't even think men peak until their fucking 40s at all. I think 40s is the best decade for men, hands down, if you did it properly. You just get respect from all sides. You get respect everybody beneath you, and you get respect from everybody above you. You know what I mean? You kind of hit that golden mean. So when you're young, when you're really young, when you're in your fucking 20s, it's really you gotta stop putting all the fucking pressure on yourself. Everyone's talking about how when you're fucking 23, you gotta have all your ducks in a row. You gotta prime yourself for your 30s. Nonsense. Nonsense. It's a fucking demolition derby when you're in your fucking 20s. It's a demolition derby. It's okay to test out a lot of different information, blow things up, see what works, see what sticks, see what clicks, figure it out. There's no shame in that whatsoever. You're not going to have all the answers in your 20s. You ain't even going to have all the answers in your 30s, but you'll be a lot fucking closer if you played the game right. Let's open the floor. I want to fucking play some ping pong right now with some motherfuckers. Let's get our boy Zachy up here. He was good last time. Yo, Zachy, what's up, buddy? Give me something good.
What's up, bro? I
Yeah,
wanted to
fucking
ask, bringing it
smoke,
back to when
smoke
you're
break, dog.
following the young cats coming up on Twitter, the ones you have your eyes on. What's your opinion on even having a growth strategy in the first place? Like, especially now, because everyone's doing the same thing. I don't think it's worth, especially if you're a young guy, young account, unless you're really trying to grow your account, say for inbound leads, because it's your business. Just leave it and tweet what is in your mind. Because at least for me, I have a few things that I'm working on in different domains, and then once they're done, they'll speak for themselves. Like I have no growth strategy or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the converted there, brother. I mean, what I think about fucking growth strategy. I think it's the gayest thing ever. Look, I mean, my account is a fucking hallmark example. I didn't have to shake hands with any motherfuckers. I didn't play any circle jerk games. I wasn't in any fucking group chats. No fucking retweet for retweet. All that shit's gay as fuck. I built my shit off the fucking ground with my bare hands, just having a fucking good time on here. And I stand by that fucking principle. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's how I did it. Growth strategy. What the fuck is that, man? That's like Huberman micro optimizing on how to have gay sex.
Fucking love that.
I'm telling you, man, this Huberman shit, these protocols everyone's trying to fucking rock with. I mean, that shit turns you into a fucking dork real quick. Real quick.
Yeah, I agree.
Understand? I mean, look, we all need systems to a degree, but the system has to be tailored to you, not the audience, in my eyes. Like you have to put systems in place that prop you up and keep you in the throne, in the saddle, so that you can continue to do what you do best. It's not like systems for other people, dude. That's not the fucking way to go, and that's what these motherfuckers are doing on Twitter right now, especially some of these young cats. It just blows my mind every day that these guys really don't see it as a cul-de-sac. They don't see it as a dead end. Um, I mean, these guys are going through my shit from like 2020, 2021 and repurposing my tweets from like 3 years ago, thinking no one's going to see it. And it's like, buddy, if you just keep saying what I said over and over again, like not only do you have a hard cap on where you can go from there, but how are you ever going to get in front of a camera or host a spaces? like
Yeah,
what's your end game?
I think it's purely backwards too, because people are trying to do the influencer route first, rather than the other way around. Like I was looking today at some big people I saw when I was like 15, 16 that were influencers coming up, and they're still influencers. Like that's their life. They haven't done anything else. Whereas if you lived your life till 25, 30, and then you go online instead, then it's not your income stream. You're doing it for fun.
100%, man. I mean, that's been my whole game from the start. I never asked to be in this position. This happened by accident. Every good thing in life happens by mistake, by the way. I will say that. Like, you put your best foot forward every fucking day, and then there is like a stochastic kind of chance in the cosmos that'll just throw things, and then it's up to you to take the reins. Like I was donated this platform, and now I've just taken the reins and I've taken over, and I'm like, all right, I
Yeah.
have a civic duty to keep going. I just feel that. There's never been any ulterior motive. I just felt it. You know what I mean? Everything I've ever done on here, nothing was premeditated. It's just like I feel something and I load my guns and I shoot. And that's been the fucking story of my life. And I think the most beautiful thing, like that's the fucking, like you want to kill the whole money argument right now? We could do that right now. We can tango with that shit right
Let's do
now.
it.
The money thing,
Let's do it.
what guys don't understand is that the cars, the women, all the shit that you say you want, it happens by accident. And the only type of motherfuckers that get to the place where they have those things are the same type of motherfuckers who are ungrateful to have it in the first place. Like everything comes to the ingrates. It's the people who don't even have their eye on it. They are so overshooting. They are so overshooting because look, in life, you only get a fraction of what you shoot for. You're only going to get a fraction of what you shoot for. So you might as well shoot as high as you can fucking go because you're only going to get a little bit. You're only going to get a little piece of the fucking pie. And the thing is, with the Lambos and the cars and the women and the houses, all the shit these people want, I'm telling you, one day you wake up from success and from just putting in the hours and you just find yourself sitting in one of them. Like that's what happened to me. One day I just was in a Rolls Royce. I was like, how the fuck did I get here? Oh, it makes sense to me now. This is the parochial wisdom that everyone's been groping for. I landed in the Rolls Royce because I didn't give a fuck about the Rolls Royce. I was overshooting the Rolls Royce. And so it was a mistake. And the best things in life that happen to men are mistakes. They're mistakes. But you got to have a keen eye and then you got to capitalize on it. Like nothing in my life has been done intentionally. I'm just a flowing, freewheeling motherfucker. I'm like Zorba the Greek. You know what I mean? I'm just out here doing my thing and good things happen. 90% of the success is just being in the scene, by the way. That's why I say maximize entropy. It's just being in the scene and things happen. And then you're the epicenter of things happening.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that. I mean, that's all I wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna give it up to the next guy.
Thanks, brother. Taking another fucking penicillin shot. Got Briegel. Yo, Briegel. Briegel, come on, buddy. You got to keep the flow going.
What's up?
What's up, bro?
What are the answers that you said we are kind of looking for? Like you said that at our 30s, you will know many answers, but it's like your mission, what you know, who you are, and that stuff, or like what are these answers that, or perhaps the question that I'm asking?
Dude, that is the most ambiguous, vague question I've ever been asked in my entire life. But
Yeah,
I feel merciful right now. I'm gonna give you one chance. Can you just restructure that for me? That was insane.
I don't know. I have another one, which would be if you can define truth, uh, or how would you define it? Or is that too philosophical or ambiguous?
Yeah, bro. Too abstract. I'm gonna keep it moving. Appreciate you.
All right.
Michael, what's up, buddy? Michael, you're live.
Yo, thanks, dude.
Yo.
Um, I listened to your last one. It was super inspiring. And I just wanted to say I launched my agency about 9 months ago, and I was hyper focused on my competitors. And then something switched about a month ago where I started focusing more on how I can compete with myself. And I was wondering if you could lay some knowledge on me and the rest of the listeners about how we should frame our focus on our competitors in business and in life.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I had a sterling tweet about this a bit ago about the prestige and the dichotomy of, I said basically the winner's always just chilling. And what I meant by the winner is chilling. And look, the winner puts in a lot of effort, of course, but it's done with sort of a lightheartedness. And they don't give a fuck about what anybody else is doing. They don't give a fuck. And the guy who's always chasing the winner always fucking loses. He drives himself into a tizzy. a fucking tailspin that he can't get out of. Even on Twitter, I never once had my eye on what anybody else was doing, saying. I don't give a fuck. I never cared about, I never saw any opponents on here. I never saw any foes. Not once. I didn't give a fuck. And it's no coincidence that I've arrived in this position because I've remained steadfast to that principle in everything that I've done. Like even when I Olympic lifted, I'm a fucking objectively top 1% Olympic lifter in America. Objectively. Never fucking had my eye on anybody else. Would go in the fucking gym, do my shit, and leave. I've always been that way. It's always been me versus me. The only motherfucker who's ever stood in my way was me. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of fucking examples of this. John Jones is similar. That motherfucker, the only guy who could beat John Jones was John Jones. There's a lot of these motherfuckers. Tiger Woods, you know, all these motherfuckers with these shadowy sides. Even fucking Djokovic. Djokovic is a very interesting fucking character. Fucking premier athlete, marquee athlete. Has a lot of fucking dark energy. Grew up in fucking war-torn Serbia. Has fucking racial memory of bombs and fucking uranium raining down on his fucking people. And he's harnessed that energy correctly into being a fucking champion. And he's got a fucking chip on his shoulder. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And this is why I always tell people, if you look under the hood of anybody who's doing anything real or successful, it's very ugly. There's nothing functional or healthy about the pursuit of success at all. People have this completely fucked up. Like the desire to get out of the middle and get out of homeostasis and do something incredible and leave a footprint in this reality, that is an unhealthy endeavor. Very unhealthy. There's nothing remotely sane about that quest at all. But it's like, pick your poison. If you want sanity, then be happy being lassoed in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, bro, the whole competitive thing is nonsense to me. It doesn't exist. Like, if I was a fucking UFC fighter, I would never study an opponent ever. There's something very dishonorable about it. I can't put my finger on it right now, but I feel in my heart of hearts that I would not give a fuck about what my opponent's doing. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'll adjust in the fucking zone when we're squared up toe to toe. I'll make the adjustment. And I do think that's the winning philosophy in every fucking domain. I do. Someone's going to be real, real hard pressed to knock me off the pulpit on that one. So that was a good question.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yo, Everett.
Yo,
Yo.
I'm kind of new. I just like followed you a couple days ago, but
Lucky you.
what did you want? What was like your real mission on the come up?
Freedom, bro.
Just
Freedom.
just do
Complete.
whatever you want.
Do whatever the fuck I want whenever I want, but actual fucking detachment. I said this the other day, man. The apex philosophy, I'm 100% convinced, is some sort of Zen or Buddhism. But what's interesting is you have to be pain-stricken and you have to be forlorn and you have to be heartsick so many times in order to ricochet at Zen. Like you cannot reach a state of true internal freedom by studying Zen. There's no practice. There's no art there. Like it's you wing it. You freestyle.
Yeah.
You freestyle and then you end up ricocheting at some of these fucking like apex philosophies, and it's like the fucking perfect corollary. Again, it happens by accident. I'm likely the most Zen motherfucker I know. I likely am. I have a very cool, calm, poised demeanor. Nothing rattles me. And it's because I have had my heart and my guts torn out so many fucking times that I'm somewhat numb to it. And look, this is the strategy. If you were in the beginning of the spaces, the guy who was doing the cold approaches to the 150 chicks, to some degree, there is some strength to what he's doing, because what he's doing is he's numbing himself. He's numbing himself to rejection. And I do believe, and we talk about how success is unhealthy. I do think the apex state of being for men is jaded. I think men are supposed to be jaded. Men accomplish the most in their life when they're totally fucking jaded. And the reason I know that, my barometer, is if something is bad for women, it's good for men. That's a principle that I came up with, and it's never failed me. Name any behavior or behavioral pattern that's beneficial to women is bad for men, and vice versa. In other words, if bipolar disorder, because people use this as a pejorative term to downplay women, right? They call women bipolar, BPD. That's a known knock on women, right? If BPD is bad for women, I will venture to say, and I will go on record saying this, that BPD is good for men. I think if you're a man with a bipolar personality and you learn to harness that, you have 100 times ROI than trying to fucking remove that supposed character flaw. I've done the math, like the mental math, and I've never seen this crisscross. I've never seen it do me wrong. You understand? So my point is, being jaded is terrible for women. Women are supposed to retain that sort of light, spark of life. And so that's how I know men are not supposed to be wired that way. Men are not supposed to be happy-go-lucky. I've also been rotating a theory that I think is impenetrable as well, and this is something that I've kind of been sitting on, is that I do believe the happiest men, the truly most content, happiest men are deeply miserable on the inside. And I think the most miserable men externally are the happiest on the inside, if that makes sense. The men who are too cozy and too comfortable internally end up in a severe state of misery that manifests in a very rough exterior. But the men who are constantly tortured internally are truly the happiest men, because being a man is not fucking easy. It's a juggling act. You have to keep so many cofactors together. You have to be cohesive. You have to maintain simultaneously so many different philosophies at once. It's an extraordinary feat to truly be a great man. It's because it's torture inside. But those are the happiest men, and they carry it to the grave. They die miserably internally, but happy on the outside. Like any man that I know who complains incessantly all the fucking time, tells me how they're depressed, they hate their life, they're too happy internally. They're just, their life's not difficult enough. They don't truly have the responsibility to reverse that process. And so I guess my point to you, my brother, is that my mission in life, like my come up, has all been about doing the opposite of what the fear mechanism in the brain has told me to do. The voice inside your head that tells you to tap out and tells you that you've had enough, life does not begin until you breach that garrison and you get beyond that event horizon. That's where the actual playground is. It's past the voice. Most people are a slave to the voice in their head that tells them to stop. They've never even seen the phantasmagoric world that lies beyond that point. They've never even seen it. They've never even explored it. There's an entire fucking realm beyond that where you can will yourself. It feels like divine will into a state of fury and blood drunkenness where you literally feel like you cannot be fucking stopped. Appreciate your question. Master of the game. What's up, buddy?
Yo, hello.
Yo, yo.
Yo, Brute, man, long time listener.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to ask you a question because I believe that you said that you did recently have a kid in the last 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, my son's 3 years old.
Okay, that's cool, man. So my son's actually 10 months old. He just turned 10 months old today. And I was wondering, how have you balanced having a son and being active in his life, or trying to be, cordial with the mother and build a relationship with both of them, at the same time living a life of your own adventure? Because obviously, on the one hand, you're kind of tethered with that family life, but for me, I see it as somewhat of a responsibility, because I want my son to be just as much of a badass as me, if not more. And I see as, if I'm not here, the beta male conditioning is going to skyrocket through the roof. So pretty much just asking, how do you balance that adventurous lifestyle with being a figure for your son?
I don't balance it at all. I am an active participant in his life. However, I will tell you this. I 100% believe that nature is 1,000 times more potent than nurture. I believe that. I think the seeds of destiny that are sown into our young, into our offspring, are far more powerful than the environment itself. And I believe 100%, knowing that my son has my fucking DNA coursing through his veins. I do see myself as an instructor. I see myself as a kind of, proctor. But the reality is, and I look at my own life, I think there's really only so much you can teach. I do believe that your offspring is pretty much going to take the shape of the vessel that it's destined to be, one way or another. One way or another, it's going to foment into the type of life form that it's supposed to be. And I think that's why what's more important than anything else is just picking the proper mate. Picking the proper mate and having really good fucking genetics is the fucking name of the game. I think blood is king. I think blood is king. So look, there's no restraints in my life. Like having a son has not um, tamed me. I haven't changed any of my nature. Any of my nature. I'm leaving a massive body of work for my son. My son will be able to comb through my book. He'll be able to comb through a lot of my wisdom. You know what I mean? Plus my obvious physical role. But the bottom line is I know that motherfucker's in great hands because he's my fucking, he's my son. He's got my DNA. And I stand I
And
stand by
so,
that.
so would you be willing to have kind of multiple sons? Like, do you think that's a problem, or would you even care if you, let's say, had 3, 4 more sons by different women, and you just kind of let them kind of fend for
Eh,
themselves? Do you
not
think
really
that's a
not
model?
really fend for themselves, but I do think that's a model. Like I've said this openly. I've always spreaded my seed. I've never given a flying fuck. Even when I was like 19, I didn't give a fuck if I got a girl pregnant. I knew I would just handle it. I don't think men are ever really ready to have kids at all. I think that's a myth. I think you pretty much have kids and then it kind of straps you in the saddle and then you end up just kind of riding the horse like fucking Hidalgo. Like that's just kind of how it works.
Yeah,
Like you're never really
yeah,
ready. And so for me, I've just never had fear. I mean, look, dude, I'm a fucking gambler. So I've always played Russian roulette with that type of thing. I've never had an issue with it. But fend for themselves is interesting. Like, look, again, the most important thing to me is I will not sleep with a woman unless I don't mind having kids with her. Like, that's my rule. I don't, I'm not sleeping with any woman unless I don't mind if she fucking got pregnant. So I'm golden. I've got all bases covered. I'm golden no matter what I do.
yeah. I agree. I agree. And I was kind of thrust into the fatherhood role pretty randomly as well. And luckily for me, it was with the woman I was ready to commit to. So good answer, and thank you for taking the time out
Yep.
today.
Yo, B.O. Broski. What's up, buddy?
Yo, bro, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a lot of your past spaces, you've talked about some different main points. I just want to know what you think about this. You said you need to be urgent, you need to take a lot of risk, and you also need to be very abundant for success. Do you think those are the three things that you really need, or is there more, or is there less?
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, look, my whole ethos, obviously. But the thing is like my content is very nuanced because I'm really speaking to the 1%. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I don't everything that I espouse, I don't consider it prescription at all. Like I am speaking to a specific caliber of man. And I believe for the rest of the people who tune in, I believe they're just living vicariously. And I know in my heart that they're really never going to take any of these leaps. It's just entertainment. Like, my content is truly just entertainment for the average person. But for the select few, which is who I'm talking to, which is why I get up on this fucking pulpit and speak in the first place, for the ones who do aspire to be great and break out of the middle, yeah, I mean, everything that I say is completely fucking valid. It's the shit that I'm saying is not going to work for 95% of people. I'm totally okay with that, and I'm totally aware of that. So yeah, I mean, look, like, most people, if they take an extraordinary risk and they get mopped, they're not coming back from that. Like, average person goes bust though, they're not coming back from that. I mean, in my book, I'm sharing some very gory details about this has been the toughest year of my life. From
Hmm.
January to September, I have experienced a special type of hell that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. And it's incredible that I'm still up here drawing breath. It's incredible that I even have the fucking flu and I'm speaking right now. Like, I should have been ended last year with the fucking types of losses that I've experienced. But I soldier on because I know who I am, and I know it's all coming back, and I know it's going to be better than it ever was before. How many motherfuckers have that kind of conviction or have that kind of experience to call upon? Very few. Very, very few. What
Yeah,
was that first?
for
What was
sure.
that first principle you said? I heard the risk. What was the other? What were the other two?
I said, hold up. I said urgency and abundance.
Yeah, urgency is important because like I said, there is sort of this low hum anxiety that I think has to linger in a man's head. Like, a man has to kind of feel like he's racing against the clock. I think that does bring the best out in men. It also brings out the worst in men. But again, the truth is paradoxical. So I do think that there has to be some sort of like fantasy clock in your head that you're running against, for sure. So I think the urgency is important. And look, this just reminded me that ADHD tweet that I said the other day is extremely powerful, and it's powerful in a way that I don't think it went over a lot of people's heads. What happens is with a lot of men is they will let problems stack the fuck up on their shoulders that they won't address, even though they have the latent potential, talent, and power to overcome them in that moment. But they like almost want to go to the razor's edge, and they want like a fingertip left on the edge of the cliff. They want to feel the breath of death on their neck before they spring into action. And I'm 100% convinced that the reason why people do this and the reason why people let problems get so bad before they solve them is because the fear mechanism of feeling like the Grim Reaper is hovering above you puts men in this state of fury where they end up overcorrecting the problems that they have. So they end up overshooting and overkilling the problems that have stacked up on them, and they end up actually landing higher in a position than they would have been in if they just handled each problem piecemeal. Does that make sense? It has like a slingshot effect. And this is
Yeah,
and
I
this is
get
for
you.
motherfuckers with like severe fucking ADHD that can only wrangle a task that they care about, and everything else just feels soul killing. Like, these motherfuckers will push it all the way to the brink where everybody around you is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? How could you let it get this bad? But they just have this sly grin because they know one morning they're going to wake up and be so fucking enraged that they're just going to go tear through every fucking problem that's been bogging them down, and they're going to overkill it so hard that they're going to end up landing on a higher summit than they'd ever reached before. And the idea is that this is progressive. Then they do it again and they let things stack up again. And then they're on the brink of death. And then boom, they overshoot again. Now they're on a higher summit. So it's like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back game they're playing with themselves because they suffer from that existential boredom. It's kind of like the curse of the talented. It's usually people who find things to be very easy in life, so they have to play these very sinister mind games with themselves in order to make progress. This is like a huge thing in the human condition that's very real. Very real. A lot of motherfuckers experience this daily. So it's like those motherfuckers have the urgency. They have the power. They have the control of the situation, but they want to just kind of sit like Buddha. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, on the abundance thing, like,
Yo, I can't hear you.
yo, Brute.
Yo, pause for a second. I just added somebody else. I want to see if his connection's good. Hans. Hans, you're live. All right, go ahead, man.
All right, so back on that abundance thing, like, do you need to like sit and like be abundant and shit will just come to you type thing? Or like if you just keep working your fucking ass off, you will end up just being abundant in itself. What do you think about that?
So again, there's a horseshoe phenomenon with abundance, which is that when you've tried everything and you've exhausted every resource and you're so down on your luck, you actually do end up horseshoeing into abundance mentality by mistake. Like you have nothing else to lose. And so you end up sort of having this gravity, sort of having this magnetic field where you start being the epicenter of everything around you, like I said, and then things start happening. That's been a very, very, very tried and true practice. A lot of men have experienced that. And it's like I said, man, it's the horseshoe. A lot of these things that people want in their life, they haven't yet figured out that you got to travel the exact opposite road to get there. Because everything bends. That's how reality works. Like you want to talk about quantum leaps. Everything wraps around. It's the Mobius strip. You know what I'm saying? Like everything has that wrinkle in the middle, but if you keep traveling, you end up right back where you started, but at a higher peak. Everything that I've seen work happens this way. It happens by complete accident by traveling the opposite destiny. So it's like you don't fall into abundance until you have nothing left. Until you've exhausted literally everything in your soul, and you're standing in the rubble. You're standing in the rubble, and you're like Nero playing the fucking proverbial fiddle while Rome burns. Like that metaphor of Nero playing the fiddle while Rome burns. It's one of the best fucking analogies of all fucking time, because that motherfucker was in massive abundance when that was occurring. Whether it's a fake story or not is irrelevant. The fucking parable, the folklore wisdom remains the same. That's sort of fucking, that's the thing, dude. That's the thing. It's the exact fucking opposite. It's like you set targets, and like I said, you're only going to achieve a fraction of the target. That's how life works.
Mm-hmm.
And I said on the last spaces, and I want to reiterate this, that repeatability, I think, is the most important factor in demonstrating male competence. Repeatability. So it's like, all right, you got a 10, but can you do it again? Can you get another 10? Can you get another 10? Can you get another 10? All right, after 5 or 10 times that you've been able to lock down a 10, boom, you're competent. But a lot of men cannot recreate the same beautiful results that they've had. And that's a major fucking problem.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, thanks, Brute.
Yep.
Yo, I got another question if nobody else is asked to
No,
speak.
Master, we're going to keep it moving, bro. I appreciate that, though.
All right.
Yo, Quantum. Yo.
Hey man, love your content. I've been tuning in like past week, and just wanted to say I had a question regarding how do you maintain because like how do you maintain the perception in life to continue to get the results that you once did before? I mean, in my personal experience as a trader, I've made millions, I've lost millions, I've had opportunities to make 100 million and I missed it, and I made back millions and I've lost money again. The question is,
Sound like
how do you
sound
how
like
do
my
you
kind of guy.
how do you maintain the heart to find the needle in the haystack as you did for the past 10 years? Because I feel like over time you start racing age, priorities change, you start having children, and all of a sudden that hungry boy that you had starts to get dimmer.
Yes, 100%, and that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up because here's how it works. When you get older, like I'm in my mid 30s, okay? Objectively, your strengths will deteriorate. The things that have propelled you and catapulted you to where you're at will objectively get worse. I'm experiencing it. I'm not as strong as I was when I was 29. But here's the thing. Here's the edge, and here's the infinity fuel that man has access to, and it's in the spirit. The spirit, the human spirit, will carry you into old age and give you sort of that youthful, playful spirit that you had in your 20s. It'll never be extinguished as long as you continue to cultivate that fire in your belly. The human spirit, dude, is where all the marginal edges are as you get older. It's a very, very powerful fucking fuel, and that is why that exact analogy is why I am a massive anti-ambassador for steroid usage. Because what happens is motherfuckers who jump on steroids, what they've done is they've toggled the human mode out of the spirit, and they are using the exogenous substance as an auxiliary spirit. Does that make sense? So now you are dependent upon your testosterone injections as a spirit. And that is a very disastrous long-term consideration. Very disastrous. Like I will never do TRT ever. But I'm 36. I'm running circles around these fucking 20-year-olds. I talk to these 20-year-olds at the gym. These motherfuckers are taking like 3-hour naps during the day. They're despondent. They have no energy. They have no spirit whatsoever. My spirit is burning fucking bright. You know what I'm saying? Like it gets me up in the morning. It keeps me fucking hungry and vicious and ferocious. And the only way you can maintain that spirit is to continue to live life on your terms. That's the key. Like when we use the analogy that things are soul sucking, doing activities that you don't want to participate in, but you feel like you have to out of obligation. Those are all the types of things that chip away at the human spirit. They will wither it down to nothing. To nothing. And a lot of people are engrossed in these games every fucking day. They're working a job they literally fucking despise. They hate every part of their life. That tears apart the fabric and the constitution of the human spirit to an irrecoverable level at some point. That's why guys like you and me, we can take the $1 million fucking hits and keep going. You understand? It's meaningless. We're playing a different game.
Do you feel like you potentially die in installments? Like, I just feel like men are supposed to be jaded. Do you feel like in some way that, every decade you're dying in installments in regards to your ability to experience reality the way you used to
Dude,
experience it? Like, is that at risk?
yeah. I literally say this joke all the time. Like, I am dead. I've already been dead. And that is when the pilot light of the human spirit actually flicks on. Like the human spirit flickers at its brightest intensity when the exterior is dead. Like I am literally almost in a zombified state. But the irony of being in the zombified state is that that's when your spirit is shining the brightest. Like I can just absorb damage after damage after damage after blow after blow after blow, and I have total amnesia. I will wake up the next morning and have zero recollection that I just torched $1 million the day before in a baseball game. It doesn't even register that occurred. It's a new day. It's a fucking fresh slate. I'm getting after it. You're in a zombified state. You know, and there's guys who perform at very high levels like this. There's that guy that reminds me of this. This guy has an extraordinary human spirit. If any of you motherfuckers truly want to see like what I'm talking about with that zombified state, but the human spirit is shining bright, go on YouTube and look up fucking Tony Ferguson. That UFC fighter, Tony Ferguson, that guy's a fucking tomato can. He's literally walking into fights getting annihilated now. Doesn't give a fuck. He literally gets stronger the more damage that's inflicted upon him. Like, that is the holy grail of human existence. And that's a crude example, but like, I'm like that. Like, the more damage that gets inflicted on me, the more enraged and the more powerful I become. You know what I mean? You're just like chewing bullets. There's the dude. This archetype permeates history, by the way, and it also permeates itself in cinema and film. If you've ever seen the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey, the villain in that movie, and this is like an ode to this concept that I'm talking about. The writers of these movies are fucking smart as fuck because they understand these mythological archetypes. He has an ability when he's wearing the mask, the villain, to chew bullets. Like, people will be fucking unloading a full metal jacket at this motherfucker, and he's just absorbing the bullets, and he gets more powerful. There's a lot of villains like that. Like, I want to say the Marshmallow Man was like that in Ghostbusters. There's a lot of villains in movies that get stronger the more damage you inflict upon them. Fifth Element, there was that huge fucking energy wall where if you shoot nukes into it, it fucking gets stronger. Like, this is those media inculcations that they're showing you are coming forth onto the silver screen because some human being has wrestled with that, like, personification and force in real life. Does that make sense? Like, the only way the imagination can build that into a fictional character is that someone saw that happen in real life. That's why I always say fiction is ironically more true than reality itself. Because in order to create a perfect work of fiction, the author who infuses the characters with that type of esprit and eclat has to have a wide array of true human experience in order to construct and fashion and confabulate such a character. Does that make sense? So all works of fiction, like, I tell motherfuckers, I'm like, stop reading nonfiction. All you're doing is titillating the conscious mind. Fiction strikes at the subconscious, which is where the psyche is embedded, which is where these psychic forces are embedded. And so, I mean,
Would
you
you?
sound like a guy like that. Like, you sound like a guy who, the more damage that gets inflicted upon you, the more ferocious you become.
I think, would you say that that's the Goggins archetype, the David Goggins archetype arc?
I mean, dude, Goggins is. Look, I respect any champion and I respect anyone who can do fucking human feats to that level. I respect it. But the reality is, he's taught, like, people need a deity. People need a deity. And one of the realizations, because people have been tweeting at me about Goggins recently, and I came to an interesting conclusion about Goggins, and I was like, wait a minute. People think that only women are turned on by grandiosity in men. But the reality is, men look to deify ordinary human beings in the same way that women do. Like, David Goggins is a deity to people. People have enshrined this man as some sort of fucking temple god. And it's a very, very bizarre mechanism. But Goggins, there's there's weak points in all of these archetypes for sure. But the thing with Goggins is, like, he's touching upon an instinct that should already be common sense. You understand? Like, it's like, no shit, you're not supposed to be a pussy. Why does someone need to remind you you're not supposed to be a pussy as a man? Like, it just shows you how derailed common sense has become, to the point where we now deify figures who are just spouting common sense in sort of a cool rapper. I mean, the guy does have sort of a cool rapper, right? He's fucking lean, he's jacked, whatever. He's fucking talking shit into the camera. But I mean, I think all men already have that kind of voice in their head. You know what I'm saying? Like, all men already have the general archetype wearing the buckskin coat in their own head that can fucking push them. The thing is, the thing with Goggins that I think really rubs me the wrong way is I hate the advice. Like, this advice makes me fucking cringe. When somebody tells you just work hard, I tune out. Like, that to me, that is the lamest, most generic advice. Like, just work harder, buddy. It's like, dude, that is literally not how life works. Like, if you find a domain that comes natural to yourself, you're gonna naturally push yourself harder. Like, nobody can push me harder than me. Nobody can. Because I'm playing games that I have a natural affinity for. So like I don't need a coach. There's no one that's going to motivate me more than I can motivate me. But everybody has a domain that's unique to them where this is true. And so if you need a guy like Goggins to tell you to empty another fucking clip of pull-ups, you're playing the wrong game. You understand? You're playing the wrong game. So it's like we can go back and forth all day about the thing that I made the other day, the point about the fat guy. People are the midwits completely butchered that sentiment, by the way. Like I'm gonna do a spaces one day about the fat guy archetype, and I'm gonna blow minds because the midwits completely capitulated to the wrong idea there. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, dude, like homogenization is not the fucking way. It's just not the way. I mean, dude, like I laugh every day. These guys truly believe, these guys have honestly been psyoped into thinking that your physique has any impact on getting women. It doesn't. It literally, it has zero impact in attracting women. Zero. The only women who are going to love you for your physique are ugly chicks. Because ugly chicks love hot guys. Hot women don't give a fuck if you're hot or not. Hot women give a fuck about status and power. So the hotter the woman, the less she gives a flying fuck about your six pack, about your biceps. It's for mids. It's for mids and lower. That's all it is. It's all it is. So like that's why I'm such a fucking critic of this generic homogenized advice that every man is supposed to be some fucking god tier fucking GQ model. That makes no sense at all. Last time I checked, the hottest women that I've seen are with motherfuckers who are skinny fat as fuck. But they're actually doing shit. They have empires. They have fucking massive fucking mechanisms. They have massive influence. Like, get a fuck. These guys don't have a fucking clue how this game works. You know, the physique thing is interesting to me because you know how women will, if a woman is meeting a female friend for dinner, just a female friend, she'll do her makeup for like 3.5 hours. She will want to look as beautiful as possible just to meet another chick because women are competitive with each other like that. The physique thing is the male version of that. It's honestly guys that just want to look good for other guys. Because the only people truly that have ever fucking complimented me in public on my physique, which my physique is just a fucking natural product of being strong, are dudes. Dudes are impressed by my fucking traps, my back. It's the strangest thing. Like, yeah, girls like it, but the people that are impressed by a phenomenal mutant-like physique are other guys. It's very homosexual, very, to even focus on that. You know what I mean? Like, if your looks as a man are on the top 50 things that you think about in your head on a daily basis, just start the transitioning. Just start the transitioning because you were born in a wrong body. It's time to get the fucking sex reassignment surgery. Anyway, we're bouncing off topic in true brute force form. Anything else?
I would say, if you don't mind, how do you catalyze pain into action, and how do you stop comfort from putting you in this cycle where pain is the only thing that catalyzes you into action? So, like, you get back to, let's say, 10 mil. Now you're in comfort. Now you lose all the systems in place that got you to that point. And now comfort slowly turns into pain, and then pain turns into loss, and then that catalyzes action again. Is there a way to stop? Is there a way to stop like comfort, you know is there a way to jump that step and not go through that cycle? I know you were just talking about cycles before, and like if you pay attention closely to everything, like there are cycles in your own performance,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stop from sliding back down? Like whenever you taste a little bit of success, it's easy to go out and have drinks on the weekend, or go out and do the things that didn't get you to that point, at least subjectively speaking. How do you maintain that same kind of hunger that was there when all the chips were stacked against you?
So I'm getting to the point where I fully believe that you need handlers, and this is why I said every prolific man who has that sort of manic behavior that you're talking about, they need a system to outrun their own fumes. So like in my case, like it's not a question of am I going to get to 8 or 9 figures. That's 100% happening for me. The question is, when I do experience that comfort, am I going to have the system in place this time, the handlers, the people that I trust around me, to build a system where I can sprinkle that money around and people can basically save me from me? Because I despise comfort. I am extremely uncomfortable sitting by a pool staring at fucking palm trees all day. I cannot retire in that way. It is a soul killing exercise for me. I have to always be redlining. I have to. And I know that about myself. So a guy like me, because I'm the old war horse now, you know what I mean? I've done my saber rattling. I'm the old fucking general now. I need a rally cry amongst the youth, like the army that I build, the people, my royal guard, my tribe, the people that I build beneath me are the ones who are going to carry the torch into my future 100%. The guys that I fucking sculpt, the guys that I bring the best out of, the guys that I lead, those are the guys who are going to be able to put the systems in place to operate to where I can chill, but I can also lead and get that vicarious hit from watching the guys beneath me do what I did. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you pass the baton. Like there's no way I can live the way I'm living for another fucking 20 years. I mean, I probably can, but I'll be an embalmed mummy by then. So it's sort of like a life pivot. I'm 36. I've got all the life experience in the world. I've had the millions. I've torched the millions. I've been to the highest of peaks. I've seen it all already. So that's my job now, is to build my own little cavalcade, my own little cavalry. You know what I mean? Like an army beneath me who can sort of build that structure on my behalf, if that makes sense. And that's how I pass my legacy. So you have to build a unique system that's going to protect you from you. That's how all the greats have done it, by the way. It's how all the greats have done it. I'll reiterate this. Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time because he had a gambling addiction. In other words, basketball was really an outlet to fuel his gambling. Once you see it that way, once you ring that bell, you can't unring that bell. Like, you see this permeate a lot of different industries and fields. You see guys absolutely tearing through industries and becoming titans and getting to the top. And you realize it's because they have behavior patterns that force them to be that excellent. Because those vehicles of income, those streams, the fucking, the fucking endorsement fucking things that they get, it holds the whole fucking structure in place and keeps it cohesive. Like, Michael Jordan can't run out of money. The guy can gamble out of his fucking ears if he wants to. The guy's never going to go broke. And so that is the great task for people with the mania, people with the fucking personality quirks, is you have no choice but to be the best at your craft. So you can have those fucking vehicles in place to protect you from you. It's the only way to do it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
100%. What's up, Taylor? Taylor, you're on. Nope. Yo, Omar.
Yo, Brew. So my question is, I saw this tweet that you had put out maybe a couple months ago, and it was related to kind of something that you were hitting on earlier. Just how nowadays I feel like I think it was like people, they just rotate through a library of takes and like TikTok reels, and they don't really have their own like conclusions, and they don't come to their own conclusions, and they just kind of like regurgitate advice that they hear online. So what was like your approach to kind of just like I guess finding like this wisdom, you know, on your own, and yeah.
Well, I mean, it's redundant at this point, but I was a guy who lived a very hardcore life before I came in fucking on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I already had the fucking chevron stars on my vest. I already had the fucking arsenal in my tool belt. And so it was very easy for me to come up here and just start fucking spitting from the heart because I've lived this life. You know what I mean? I've lived it. And so for me to come on this platform and share my fucking experience, strength, and hope has been a fucking cakewalk. It's been a cakewalk. And I don't think that process can be reverse engineered. I think a lot of people want to reach stardom. They want to reach stardom and then they want to reverse engineer and go backwards and say, you know what, when I get 20 mil, then I'll start living a fucking life. Then I'll start fucking adventuring and exploring and all that. And it don't work like that. It just don't work like that. Like I said, it's you fall into money by accident. That is the best approach. I've never consciously learned a skill in my entire life. I've never struggled and beat myself up to sit in front of any literary material, any fucking curriculum that did not interest me. I never belabored myself to learn math. I'm not a math brain. I'm not good at math at all. It doesn't interest me one bit. I have doubled down on all my fucking strengths, and most of them have completely eclipsed my weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? And if I had to fucking get involved in a project that I felt unqualified for, I had no problem biting off more than I could chew and figuring it on the go. Every majestic thing that's ever happened to me happened that way. It happened by me just biting off more than I could chew, saying yes, diving in, and figuring it the fuck out as I go. I never sat there and had to fucking learn guitar. I never had to sit there and fucking understand vocabulary. I read a fucking book cover to cover and I started talking like Hemingway. That just happened for me. I never had to look up words. I never had to pull a dictionary, never had to look up a fucking thesaurus. I just understood words naturally through context clues. That's it. And so I've fucking doubled down on that and I've ran with the wolves. It's that easy. I think something, a huge misconception people have is life is easy. And I want to say this: life is easy. If you are trying to solve a problem that's too hard, you're working on the wrong problem. You're working on the wrong problem. If you constantly are butting your head up against a problem that just seems like you can't tackle it, you're working on the wrong thing. Life is about quality over quantity every day of the fucking week. Life is easy. If you lean into the things that God gave you naturally, life really is a breeze. It's just that people want to force shit and they want to learn things that they're never gonna ever come close to someone who's a natural at it. And they end up comparing and competing with other apparitions, other ghosts, literally, other specters who have these qualities and they can't figure out why they never catch up. It's like, motherfucker, it's because you're playing the wrong game. You got to play games that are endemic to you and your biology and your chemistry, the way you're wired, the way you think. You know what I mean? Like that's golden multi-million-dollar advice that I just gave. If people actually fucking run with it. It's like things really shouldn't be that fucking challenging. They shouldn't. When it comes to solving problems. And I stand by that. Good question. Let's get Caleb up here. Yo, Caleb. You're
Hey,
live.
first of all, I just wanted to say I really appreciate the gems you drop off on Twitter. It's
Yeah,
one of
man.
the reasons I stay on the app. I'm living a pretty normal military lifestyle right now, and it's the same exact bullshit as I was in at the warehouse a couple of years ago. Just mediocrity across the board. And my question is, like, I see a basic pathway saved in for guys that stay in and guys that get out. Because you get out, you got free college, but I just my question more so is like aggressively like financing or putting it into stocks. Like, well, you if you plan on doing a one and done, but I see the same pathway saved them for like guys that just stick around for 20 years and they're just jerk offs. And it like my question is just like with the spare time that I have and the limited money that I get out of this, just like using the most out of it. and like with financing stocks, businesses. Because the smart people that I know, they might do like one contract or two, get their degree, and then go into business or marketing, or they might just be aggressively like financing from the start. But I'm really unexperienced with all of those endeavors.
Dude, that was like 20 questions in one. There's no way I can rehash that. Impossible. Julian, let's get Julian up here. Julian, what's up, brother?
What's up, Root? Appreciate you putting me on here. I'm kind of new to your stuff, so apologies if you've covered this already. But I'm curious because you mentioned how young guys kind of hate their life, and you mentioned human spirit as well. What do you think subordinating yourself to somebody you don't respect does to your character and that human spirit?
Dude, I mean, if you want to talk about fucking human defilement, I think that's fucking number one contender. I mean, that's like what these guys are doing, man. These guys are putting themselves in positions where they're under the tutelage of people they don't respect at jobs that they fucking hate. And unfortunately, a lot of men, like I said in the last spaces, they find this sort of masculine virtue in suffering for the sake of suffering. And what I offer up as an alternative to that is suffering for something that you actually fucking believe in, because that's masculine virtue. You know what I'm saying? Sucking it up and grinning and bearing it every day of the week because that's supposedly what makes you a man. That's a coward's game. That's a fucking shell game, and it never ends well. It never ends well. I saw an analogy on here. I forget when it was, but it was a decent analogy. Someone said, effectively, they were like, why the fuck am I taking orders from a motherfucker that I could strangle with my bare hands? Like, to some degree, like that resonates. I understand that.
That's what it does to your fucking soul too, eh? Like, not to cut you off, but like at my job, it's in finance, but the people who are above me are only there because they fucking sat in their desk longer, you know? And it pisses you off. It makes you literally want to fucking strangle them.
Yeah, man. Appreciate the question. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off there if you had more
Nah,
to
you're
say.
good. What's up, Bales?
Yo, Brute.
What's up?
You've spoken a lot about the doubted winner archetype who, harnesses his dark side to catapult himself into greatness. Michael
Can't hear
Jordan.
you, bro. Sounds like you're 7 leagues under the sea. Sounds
Can
like
you
you're
hear me?
fucking scuba diving, bro. Take off the snorkel.
Can you hear me?
Barely. Can you ramp up your volume quick, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's way
Okay.
better.
You've
Shoot.
spoken a lot about the doubted winner archetype, who harnesses his dark side to catapult himself into greatness. Michael Jordan, the obvious example. What do you think about the paradoxical archetype, the one who feeds off the pressure of the high expectation rather than doubt? Everything expected of you from day one. Everyone expects you to win, and you still do. LeBron James is the other example of that. I hear more about the former, but I don't hear much about the latter. Both are winners, but what are your thoughts on the latter?
Yeah, that's like a Tom Brady type. Just like a fucking guy who just seemed destined to just be bathed in that sort of Paladinian light from birth. I mean, that energy that he's experimenting with really doesn't resonate with me. I mean, the guy's obviously a certified fucking winner. But even then, I'm hard pressed to not believe that all of these guys do have a trauma point that has basically made it impossible for them to lose. Like, it's so unacceptable because there's some sort of vengeance over their past that they're searching for. Like, I even believe a guy like Tom Brady, as much as the media darling that he's been, and as much as his path has seemed relatively unobstructed, I still believe that dude 100% is being amplified and being animated. Like his animating principle has to be coming from a place of darkness. It has to be, because it's just the opposing force in the ecosystem. You know what I mean? Like there's no, I said this before, there's no greener fuel. The cleanest fuel a man can burn is anger. It's the cleanest fucking fuel source. And I think that guys like Tom Brady, those motherfuckers, like they 100% have a chip on their shoulder. Whether that's manufactured or fabricated is completely fucking irrelevant.
So they've hidden it better than, I guess, the others.
It's what?
So they've hidden it better than the others?
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, it's like, here's the thing about life. If you are driven by darkness inside, I still think it's extremely important to have a very pleasant, delightful presentation. Like, I think the presentation very much matters. Like, you can't walk around like a savage mongoloid in public. Nobody responds to that. So it's like all these guys, the Djokovic's, the motherfuckers who have propelled themselves, yeah, they might be fucking tortured inside, but they've also learned how to curate a wonderful demeanor on the outside. And I think that takes you farther than ever. And I honestly think that is the most badass combination you can have as a man, is a tortured inside, but an extremely pleasant, delightful presentation. And Tom Brady has brandished that to perfection. I mean, that, you want to talk about a guy with a fucking perfect presentation? It's almost like he had that presentation from birth and he just ran with it. Who the fuck knows how twisted and contorted that guy is on the inside? But his presentation, his marketing, his personal marketing has been a large aspect of his success. It's like the skills that people have, nobody seems to grasp this. It's really not about the skills that you have. It's about the performance. Very few people can actually perform and shine in the arena itself. It's never about the skill. It's all about the performance. Once you're on the stage, what can you do then? That's like literally all that matters. There's so many skilled motherfuckers who nobody knows about who probably could play quarterback in the NFL. But their presentation, their personal marketing is horrid. It's abominable. And that's why nobody picked them up. So it's the presentation is a huge factor in all this. It's a massive factor. And that's why being a man is so tough. Because you can be absolutely aching. You can be ailing on the inside, miserable, but still show up to a party or a function and be the fucking man of the hour. You can still put on that performance with the gadgetry and you can still be fucking gregarious as fuck. But nobody knows that you've been suffering in a room, in a fucking dark hole, in a bleak space for fucking 5 months prior to that. Everything's about the arena. That's it. It's the only thing that matters.
Just a follow-up, what a different question. What do you think the role of hobbies are in a man's journey?
Man, I could go on and on about that. Fuck, dude. There's a very, the hobby thing is extremely interesting. I think a lot of people couch themselves in hobbies because of what I just said. They're actually afraid to perform in the arena. So they have this little like secret little laboratory in their fucking garage where they're just like fine tuning cars all day. And it's kind of like a secret. Nobody really knows what the fuck it is. I mean, it's obviously some kind of cope. And I'm not a cope basher in general. I think coping is actually, a really beneficial thing for men to do. But I find that any man that has sort of this like childish sort of sentimentality for the past or holding on to, like, hobbies, for example, come to mind for me, are like a motherfucker who collects baseball cards or has like an exotic fucking, watch collection of like vintage watches and shit. None of that shit resonates with me at all because I find it to be like a childish sentimentality, and I think people hold on to little trinkets and curios. I think the reason is that they are holding on to an era They're holding on to an era that is now associated with that object in the form of a hobby. And I do believe it is post heartbreak. So, in other words, I can almost guarantee you any man who becomes a hobbyist post some sort of tumultuous heartbreak. Doesn't even have to be by a woman. It could be a failed business, could be a failed venture, just something that just really fucking took the life out of them. And then they descend in sort of this catacomb of just treasuring these little things that remind them of a more innocent time pre-heartbreak. That's what a lot of hobbyists are doing. They're treasuring an era and holding on to something before they feel like their soul had been annihilated. And it there's like the hobbyist motherfuckers, like they never perform in the arena. They just like their life has almost stopped. And these are the guys who talk about return to tradition, and the 70s were the golden times, and fucking talking about the good old days in the 80s. Like they don't move forward. They don't move forward. And like that's why minimalism has oftentimes been ascribed to being a masculine thing. And it is, because men, it's not a natural impulse for men to collect and hoard shit. Like, I understand if you're fucking holstering your grandfather's war dog jacket, or you have your father's dog tags who died in war. Like, obviously, little fucking keepsakes like that are monumental and important. But I'm talking about these more trivial, trite things. It's feminine behavior. Because, I mean, just look at the average woman. Women love to collect shit, right? Like the feminine grace collects things. Go to a woman's house, she's got fucking little chests of little fucking treasures, gems, necklaces, shit like that. Whereas a man who's properly adjusted in his masculine don't give a fuck about saving birthday cards, doesn't have crazy collections. If his house was burning down, he could fucking load up a duffel bag in 3 minutes and jet out the fucking door. Like everything he needs is within a fucking 5 millimeter fucking vicinity of his being at all times. Like he could literally jam out, have everything burned to the ground, and he's chilling. Whereas men who've had their heart broken, they get that feminine sentimentality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean the one that came to my mind was golf. You know, groups of young guys going to play golf to get away from their families or whatever. But you know, if you look at MJ, someone like MJ, he played golf to further his vice, which was gambling. So I guess maybe hobbies are only have utility if they're furthering your mission.
100%. Exactly. That is the true function of a hobby. That is correct. So I'm glad you underscored that. Thank you. I'm going to move on.
Thanks.
Funny things. What's up, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, well, first of all, I really appreciate your content. I think it's really dope. So
Mm-hmm.
my question is, until you get the resources to leave home, should I just nuke everything on my path to success, or do I play it safe in an effort to not really offend anyone until I can leave home?
Nah, man. If you're trying to leave home, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Like right now. Like, this is what I've told these guys who are stuck in the middle and are languishing and fucking floundering at home. Like, if you really want to make something of yourself, and this kind of harkens back to what I said about um, sort of reconfiguring yourself from scratch when you move hometowns, you got to start fires, man. You got to kind of be an arsonist in your personal life, and you got to be kind of a pyromaniac, and you got to start fires, which means you got to start problems. Because when you start problems and you start fires, you then spring into gear to put out those fires. And so the problem with the common man is the common man just doesn't have enough fires to put out. So he doesn't really have to fucking whip himself into gear to do anything, because everything's fucking comfy cozy. You know what I'm saying? So like if you're a guy who's trying to fucking escape the rat race, you gotta light a bunch of fires. And people don't want to hear this, but it's fucking true. You gotta rack up your fucking credit card. You gotta be in fucking debt. You gotta be saddled. You gotta be saturated in some kind of debt, some kind of pressure where you're like, you know what? I gotta dig myself the fuck out now. It's the only way to do it. It's never going to happen any other way. You got to start fires and you got to be shameless about it, and then you got to put them out. But you do have to put them out. And it might take forever, but the more fires you start, the more subconscious genius is going to come to the fore, and then you're going to know if you're that guy real quick. And maybe you start a bunch of fires and you never get out, and you realize, you know what, I gave it my best shot. I'm not built for this. And then you can go back to the cushioned life. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're never going to know until you try. You're never going to know until you try.
Thanks for that.
Yep. Tried to get a question, but I just kicked this guy off. Let's get Hunt up here. Fucking smoking my way right out of this flu. Already feeling better. Yo, Hunt.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Sorry, we got two brute spaces going on phones. So I have a question regarding what you said. So you said something about Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland. And you spoke about Israel Adesanya was going to tap into his feminine energy and slaughter the table on that fight. Obviously, he was a big favorite. I want you to talk about that fight and how Sean Strickland won, in your opinion.
Yeah, so let's look at the other side of the coin. I perfectly, like a fucking technician, dissected the exact architecture of how you build a guy like Sean Strickland from the troubled background, right? Like I have surgically given the process for how a guy like Sean Strickland wins that fight. Did I misclick with the Israel prediction? Yeah, I did. But what does that matter? It's the guy was in what my point of the story, and it still remains true, is that he was involved in his feminine anima. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand that aspect of it. More or less, what do you think went wrong? I didn't lose any money on it, but I thought that take about Israel was incredibly interesting, about how he was going to tap into his feminine energy and slaughter him. What do you think went wrong on Israel's end? Did he tap too much into that
I didn't
energy?
see I didn't see the fight. I think UFC is extremely fake and gay and rigged. Just like World Wrestling Federation. Obviously, those guys are doing real damage to each other. But have you ever seen a fight go to the decision and you see a motherfucker clearly win the fight and the judges go the other way? That happens like 4 times a fight. That happens like 4 times a fight where a motherfucker clearly wins in the UFC and the judges handed it to the other guy. So that shit's all fucking kayfabe. It's basically glorified karate. Yeah, the guys are impressive. They're fucking knocking each other up and shit. Knockouts happen, of course. But the bottom line is once you leave it to a judge's decision, anything can fucking happen. UFC is very rigged. Do not bet a penny on the UFC.
All right. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Let's get Solitude up here. Yo, Solitude. Solitude. The fuck? Let's get Chris up here. What's up,
Hey
Chris?
man, so I started smoking it's been like 5 months, right? And I got to the point tolerance is so high, I don't really feel the nick. I'm wondering if that's the same on your side.
The fuck is that? Let's get Ghost Rider up here. Ghost Rider, what's up, dog?
Hey, Brute. Curious if there was a defining moment where you went all in on individual sports, specifically Olympic weightlifting. And the second piece to that was, did individual sports make you find gambling, or did gambling make you find individual sports?
No, I think gambling's been the wellspring of every endeavor that I've ever taken on in my life. Like I said, I think it's been the source. I think it's been source energy. You know what I mean? Like that raw obsession has led me to be fucking incredible at anything that I've ever undertaken. Like, there's no doubt that the pathology of gambling has pushed me to be an incredible Olympic weightlifter. There's no doubt. Like, those seeds were sown early on, and I was able to harness and tap into it. That's like my point. Like, you want to talk about harnessing an affliction. You take an affliction and you use it to fucking propel other things that are healthy, and that's how you kind of counterbalance the system so all the wheels don't fall off. Like, I've built that solid foundation of health and strength so that I could voyage harder on the risk end. Does that make sense? Like, the only reason why I give a fuck about being strong in the gym is so I can voyage dangerously in the markets. And because I have that reservoir of strength and health, I can absorb more damage than the average person because I got a lot of meat to chew through.
Understood.
You know, I can go catabolic for long periods of time, and there is a lot of fucking muscle on my body to get through before you get down to the bone. So I see it as a shield. I see it as a kind of aegis and sort of protection against hardcore voyaging.
Yep, totally get it. Appreciate what you're doing.
Yep. Yo, Maze. Maze.
Yo, bro, the question is about my little brother who's 13 and he's an innocent being. And I saw a video of you where
He's what?
he's an innocent being. He's innocent. He's 13. He doesn't know shit. He's just happy. And
Sure it's not your sister?
no, it's my little brother.
Oh, okay.
Like I was 15 years ago, but I'm not. Right now, I'm not anymore this person I was. And he's just like me. Before I was the person who I am now. And I wanted to ask, should I break his innocence by showing a video of a white guy getting beaten up, or should I, because I love him, should I break his innocence by doing something out of love, or should I, or should take nature take care of it?
Come on, man. Come on. Zero Soy, what's up, baby? Zero Soy. You've always got something good to contribute. Take off your mic. Come on, doggy. All right, let's get Titus up here. Yo, Titus.
Yo, bro.
Yo. What's up? Yo, Zero Soy,
Yeah,
he's up.
yeah.
Fire away.
My
What's up?
question is about Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. I heard this story where one of his workers, a woman, comes and tells him that his dog has died. And the guy doesn't even flinch, you know? He's like, oh, okay, you can go. And this girl, she goes and tells it to the press, like, oh, Vladimir Putin is inhuman, you know? The guy doesn't even have feelings for his dog. And my question's got to do with that part of the Stoicism, because that's what I treasure about Stoicism. Like, you know, the guy doesn't even flinch. When you got shit, like, coming to you, but you don't show it. You don't show your cards. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, like, that is kind of the holy grail. The Stoicism, like I said before, dude, is an end of life philosophy, and you can almost say that you want to talk about like the like the tertiary part of a man's life. Putin is in that era right now. Like, he's in that reigning kind of last final stages, kind of like last bastion, and so that makes sense. But the thing is like, when you are a man who has perceived and seen everything. Like, again, dude, this is a fucking perfect question, because you arrive at Stoicism by seeing the grotesqueries of life and by being exposed to things that are so gruesome that you no longer even have an abreaction to news like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't get to stoicism by fucking holding things in and bottling things in. That motherfucker got to stoicism by being one of the most ruthless, prolific fucking tyrants ever.
Yeah, I get that.
So you naturally arrive there. I mean, look, there's many aspects of my life that are extremely fucking stoic. 100%, because I have seen so much, and like I said, I'm already dead, that you sort of become a ghost of yourself, and you can take everything in a very non-dramatic. It's like dude, this is the whole fucking paradox. Things are dramatic, but they're not.
Okay. Now that you said that, the other day you talked about the paradox, and I thought this is also a paradox of Stoicism. And the other branch of the thing is not showing it to people that doesn't deserve it. What do you think about that? Like he's not gonna show it to his secretary that he feels for his dog. You know, he's the leader of the whole fucking country.
Goes back to what I just said about the presentation. It's the performance. It's the fucking kabuki theater. When you're on that kind of platform, you owe it to your audience to make the show continue to go on. People are there for the theatrics. That's exactly the point. You become the character that you're playing over many, many years of time. Those two things have a fusion process, and they crystallize themselves. Like, for all intents and purposes, that motherfucker is the performance itself. So yeah, of course, dude. I mean, that's part of the fucking applause. That's part of the ensemble. You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying? Like, that is the crescendo. Like, that is the penultimate part of the performance. That's the prestige right there. That's the last part of the act. Is
Yeah,
that he has that poker face.
I got you. He already like has arrived. You said he's on the third part of his life.
Yeah, he is in the third stages of his life.
And last thing about this is, again, I feel this with a lot of things, that the press, the media is trying to show it like, oh, this evil man, that he's got no feelings. And when I think the common man reads this, you just say, whoa, this is a tough motherfucker. It
Yeah,
doesn't
but
have the effect that the media wants in a man
of
when they
course,
tell this
but
kind of story.
you want to talk about paradoxes? The men with the biggest hearts, the most loyalty that I've ever come across in my life were also the most ruthless and would fucking tear through your fucking chest to get what they want. And they have the biggest fucking hearts. They're fucking soft as fuck inside, and they have a genuine compassion for life. You notice this amongst all these motherfuckers, but the trick is they have to respect the being that's in front of them, and then they will literally give you the shirt on their back.
That's great. Thank you, bro.
Yep. Keep it fucking running. This machine fucking running.
Yo, you mind if I ask a question?
Hold on, bro. We got Nico up here. Yo, Nico. Fuck it. Was that you, Ghost Rider?
That was me, Titus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so how do you, as a young man who's always had like your belly full, money's never been a problem, how do you counterbalance that and kind of like, how do you get like that chip on your shoulder if it's not coming from like outside factors?
How has money never been a problem? Parents?
No, it's just I live in like suburbia. Like I can go mow lawns, I can go wash windows. Like,
got it.
It's not hard.
Got it. So you always have an income stream.
Sorry, say it again.
So you always have an income stream. Like you've never been starving.
Yeah, I can always figure something out.
And you're yearning for that.
Yeah, I'm yearning for like the hunger. I just don't know how to spark it.
Why?
I'm not sure. I mean, because you always say it's the guy with the chip on his shoulder who always like counterbalances that and comes back. But what do the guys who have no chip on their shoulder do? Is it just innate?
So you want to break out of the middle is what you're telling me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So look, I mean, look, this is kind of a perfect segue. So like the immersive experience that I've offered on this platform, like we all know the lore and the history of my shit, is that the heroic mission that I talk about is the realest thing that you could ever put your hands on. When I say that I'm here to build an army underneath me, it's not a joke. Like that's not hyperbolic talk. Like I want to take the worst, toughest cases in this life and I want to put them under my fucking wings and I want to go as far as we can possibly go. Like that is my mission. My mission is to build my own fucking elite guard and have motherfuckers who are struggling to have this kind of chip, who don't know who they are, who have identity issues, who are languid, who are depressed, who are at home, who have no idea what the next chapter is. I offer that immersive experience in real life. Motherfuckers who want to take risks, who want to fucking ride my coattails, who want me to lead from the fucking front, take all the fucking heat. Like, guys like you need to ride with guys like me. That's the only way you break out of the fucking middle. Because I've already got the fucking panoply of fucking wisdom. So when I tell these motherfuckers on Twitter, I'm like, look, if you're fucking fat and happy and you're sitting at home and you hate your fucking situation, it's time to start fucking shaking things up. You get on board with a guy like me, we fucking start firing together. We start placing bets together. As an example, as a crude example, it is the most dangerous, horrifying experience of your life, but it could also be the most liberating. There's no in between. Like we're either gonna get clapped, it's either gonna be the worst risk you've ever fucking taken, or we're getting 8 figures. Nothing in between. But the bottom line is the reason why you have to take some kind of fucking risk, whether it's a personal risk, paint shots at the market, is when you do lose, that is when you go through the revival period where you start to summon your real character. There are so many layers within a man that you cannot access until desperation kicks in. I mean, that's why fucking suicide rates drop to almost 0% when there's a real war that breaks out. Because when men are willing to die for something and they're willing to die for a cause and go all the fucking way, there's no depression. It all dissipates. And the best parts of your character and the worst parts, again, the paradox, the counterbalancing forces all come to the fore. They all fucking come to the fore. And my whole shtick is that it's not necessarily about the gain or loss. It's about the journey of taking massive, monumental risks that are way over your head, because you will be able to pull yourself into a space that you never dreamed possible when you have no choice. When you are left with no choice and your back is against the wall, that is when motherfuckers' true fucking fangs come out. And you're able to go to mental places. You're able to institute practices that you never thought you were capable of. And that's how you build a fucking juggernaut. That's how you build a behemoth. That's how you build an Elon Musk, a motherfucker who never gives up, pushes boundaries, and takes the craziest fucking risks of his life. And I'm the only one on this platform who has genuinely offered that journey and been very upfront about the dangers and pitfalls of it. Like, we could get royally fucked together. But one thing we don't do is we don't fucking quit. None of the guys that I have on my team who fire with me, none of them have given up. We're always finding angles. We're always finding solutions. We don't stop. And if you motherfuckers want to touch a piece of history, because I'm etching myself in history right now. I am documenting the greatest comeback of all fucking time, live. Then you really should slide in my fucking DMs and get ready to put skin in the game, and I will teach you everything I know. I am the most dangerous man if I'm in a room with 10 youthful motherfuckers who are energized and we're putting our heads together and we build a fucking brain trust and we're ready to fucking attack the world. The possibilities are fucking endless because we're never going to fucking quit. And I'm on one of the most monumental runs right now that I've ever been on. It took me 4, 5, maybe 6 months to fully recharge, recalibrate. I'm an old general now. I've been on the fucking battlefield my whole fucking life. And now I'm kind of directing and kind of going to the sidelines a little bit and helping some of these younger guys learn some of these fucking strategies. So if you are one of these motherfuckers that I'm talking about with that kind of angst and you actually want to fucking literally etch yourself in history alongside me, I offer that to you. Fucking, you can fly out tomorrow. I'll sit in a fucking room with you and we will build one of the greatest runs that you've ever seen and we'll document the entire fucking journey. And we'll do
What's
it
the price
open.
point on that?
Guys usually come in for like minimum 25, 50K, 25, 50,000. And then we start from there.
All right.
But that's the heroic mission because it's about putting yourself in a spot that's way over your fucking head, biting off way more than you could possibly chew. And from that position, once you find yourself in a position that you've never been in, that's when you start to get very industrious and very resourceful and very fucking creative. And this is when men start to unleash that kind of barbaric, vitalistic spirit that's been suppressed and suffocated forever. And these guys are yearning for this type of thing. They're yearning for this type of thing because the modern world is so gay. None of these rites of passage exist. So it's like, yeah, is the safe return doubtful? At times, yeah. Is there a chance we get completely fucking mauled? Yeah. But then we wake up the next day and we figure it out together. And that's the thing. A guy like me is unstoppable with 10 fucking warriors under my wings. Unstoppable. Literally, the possibilities are endless. And so you want to talk about the heroic mission version 2.0. There it is. It's fucking open. I appreciate your question.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yo, Zachary.
Yo, Brute, what's good?
What's up, brother?
So, I guess from here, so I've been grinding 2-5 cash games in poker for a couple years here, playing in casinos, playing underground. I know you fire on sports bets, but from a poker standpoint, I don't know if you delved into that world. I'm making decent money here and there. The swings can get pretty gnarly, but like something about grinding in a dungeon for fucking like 10 hours doesn't seem healthy to me. When you were playing poker, or if you did you ever experience that, or what's your view on that?
Dude, it was miserable
Yeah.
conditions. I couldn't fucking stand it. I had to switch from tournaments to cash games because I literally couldn't fucking sit there for 14 hours a day. People are missing teeth. It's a wretched fucking place to sit and be and grind. It's
Yeah,
horrifying.
like I'm playing in these good games, and like some of these people are just like fucking bums, and like I don't like being around them, but they're good to play with. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a weird balance.
Yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel sometimes, but at the same time, it's a fucking really fucking dark place in there,
Yep.
man. Metaphorically and literally.
Yeah, like like seeing people just lose a shit ton of money, and just I've seen some horrific shit, but when you know the game and you got the skill, it's good shit. It's just I just think grinding around that environment is just, it can get toxic after a while. I used to play tournaments all the time, but like you said, like I'm sitting at a computer for fucking what, like 10 hours. So I don't know if I'm gonna delve into another adventure, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted to hear some advice on just grinding for 10 hours in a fucking dungeon and see if that's even worth it.
I think I said on a prior spaces, the game of poker has been solved. It really has. Like the margins are kind of skinny,
Yep.
I imagine, because you got all the fucking GTO guys that have figured out
Yeah,
the
the
game.
European nerds.
Uh
Yep.
huh.
Yep.
Exactly. So when they say that the fucking software is eating the world, that's true. And so then we find new games to embark on. But yeah, bro, I mean that fucking poker thing is insane. I mean, I used to buy into $900,000 cash games and have fucking 15 million in the pot.
Yeah.
Crazy fucking games. Yeah. But then I would just get bored and I would get tired and I would get impulsive and I would start shipping with garbage because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there.
That's the same thing with me. I get shit hands for like 2 hours, and then I'm like, oh, queen jack offsuit. All right, let's just run a sick bluff on some dude, and then I get fucking stacked
Yep.
because I'm bored.
Yep. Just send me home so tomorrow I can wake up with the fucking fury of God under me.
Yeah.
and I'll go back to betting sports and I'll fucking pop these motherfuckers. Exactly.
Right. Well, that's pretty much up, man. I appreciate the time. This has been a good space, so appreciate that.
Of course,
Later.
brother.